And historically, it's about going to therapy, or there's a lot of self-help groups, and especially when you get into the substance abuse, you have AA, and then you have the support groups for the families and those kinds of things. So I'm just going to ask, with everything changing, and I don't mean any disrespect, this is truly just a curiosity on my part.
Yeah.
So we know that where we have our intentions, but where we put our attention is what we create.
Yes.
So as I have evolved, I'm thinking, well, you're putting all your attention on all this past trauma.
Yes.
So are we just recreating all this trauma?
Yes.
And as we're evolving, do we need to be healing this trauma in a very different way? I mean, I know you have to, I don't know anything, to be honest with you. Do you have to acknowledge it? And then are you able to just be done with it? Or do we need to be spending years of reliving this over and over and over? Like, there's so many people who so very much want to be done with it.
Yeah. Our society has done it backwards for so long. And I discuss this in my book, in Canine Spirit Guides, because I discovered that through my healing process with the Canine Spirit Guides while I was writing their book. Throughout my entire life, up to the point where I wrote the book, when something bothered me, I would spend so much time thinking about it, trying to figure out what it meant, how I could have done it differently, what if scenarios, just constantly. I even formatted my career to help me try and figure my past out. So I became a pediatric physical therapist so I could study family interaction. What does a real family look like? Because I had no idea.
Wow.
So I was really invested in trying to figure it out, right? And this is kind of the premise of traditional therapy. You go in and you talk as much as you need to talk about something that's bothering you. But what the canine guides have shown me is that the more time you spend in this space, you're holding that space, you're holding that energy. And when you do that, you cannot heal it because you're invested in it. But you don't need to know what it is specifically.
Really?
The only thing that is required is for you to be open and ready to heal it. That's the only requirement. But the caveat is there cannot be any ounce of resistance to that process or it won't work. So in my work with my clients using the Canine Spirit Guides, we systematically go through the resistance. The talking that has to happen is for them to understand where they're resisting the process. And sometimes the guides will bring through, past life experiences or something that happened in this life that they need to understand to see, in order for them to see where they're resisting that healing. And that's the only time they'll share that with them. And they'll just, as long as you are willing, it can just be lifted from you. You don't have to know what it is specifically. You don't have to understand it. And this is, they tell everybody all the time that this is advanced healing technology because we haven't been ready to hear it or to receive it until now. Because we were trapped in this belief that healing was hard, and you hear it all the time. Well, it just takes time. Yeah. Anytime someone says that, I negate it. No,
people spend their whole life. Yes. And I don't see any of them getting any happy. I mean,